Hello guys, I'm on this channel. Today we're going to review Scream 6. I'm going to go do a couple Scream rankings, definitely the movies and probably the killers as well. And then I'm going to do some Rocky rankings as well as DCEU rankings, which is going to be a lot to be going on here. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting out what this movie's about, we have our two leads from the last movie, I guess our four leads, Mindy, Chad, Tara, and Sam. Come back from the fifth movie. Now they're moved up into a new city, New York, and all of them are in college, going to NYU. I think that's what it is. And now there's a new killer on the loose trying to go attack Sam because Sam's getting these messages from the internet saying that she was the real killer. She was the real one, the real killer in the fifth movie, not Richie. Richie was innocent. And we're getting all of these sort of things. So Sam has to deal with that while Tara just wants a normal life and they're kind of being bothered. And then there's now a Ghostface out, so they have to pretty much stop it. So that's where we're at. Now we have the good, and I think the new change of pace, now setting the movie in a big city versus another suburb town called Woodsboro, I think makes the setting and the kills a lot more interesting as a whole. There's a whole bunch of bits that you wouldn't really get in the suburb, like bits in the subway, bits in like little convenience stores on the side of like a major street. And I think for the most part, a lot of those work. Like, there's that bit with the Ghostface and the shotgun. It was also in the trailer. That was pretty badass. I think the kills are by far the most brutal in this one. I think they're the best that they've ever been here. There are the titular stabbing ones, but there's some that stab through the eye, the nose, into the head, through the mouth. That didn't look right. All of it is just a lot of fun, and I just really enjoy all those segments. I think what they do with the characters here, mainly with Tara and Sam, I think works. Their sort of sister dynamic works here, where what Sam is trying to reflect on what happened, and then deal with all these internet comments or whatever, and then Tara is trying to forget it all and sort of live her life and get a degree in college, and how you compare the two is interesting, and all of that. And I think the bringbacks of both Mindy and Chad work for the most part. I guess it didn't make much sense how Chad is still alive, but I mean Cindy makes sense, or Mindy makes sense. And I think there wasn't really as much to comment on here, but I think what they did, I guess, worked, where they're sort of commenting on the sequels. So like, for example, like Halloween Kills, I guess, is a good example. If they made a sequel to the Friday the 13th remake, I guess, kind of those kind of movies, like the sequels to the Legacy sequel, which I think that's kind of which is what this is. So I guess it does a good enough job commenting. Not as good as the fifth one, but it didn't really need to comment on much. So yeah, and I think overall this is probably the most different of all the Scream movies, mainly because of that big city setting in that, I guess. And the kills are a little bit more different. Where you see Ghostface with the shotgun, and I think it's a lot more brutal than the last ones were. And then killer reveals work for the most part. I'll talk about that later. And then I like not having Sydney back because there was really no reason for her to be back here. And then I think the usage of Gale Weathers was actually pretty good here, where she didn't really get a lot to do, but she got enough to do to where it wasn't like frustrating at all, or it made enough sense, I guess. And then you also have the the bring back of Kirby from Scream 4. She was definitely my favorite character in that movie, at least probably. And I thought bringing her back, even though she literally got brought back from the dead, I think in the end, in this movie, it actually worked when she was an FBI agent. Now she's like 30 or something. I think it works. It's a little hard to believe, but at the same time, I think it works. So I like seeing her back. She didn't really get that much to do, but the scenes she was in worked, I guess. And some of the new characters, the remake characters like Ethan, Quinn, and Annika, and I feel like there's one more, but I'm not sure. Those characters were pretty good for the most part. And as they called the movie, the core four, I guess is good. I guess works for the most part. Yeah, and as I said, all the kills are great, and maybe not all of them. I don't think this franchise is known for having the best kills. That kind of goes to the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street franchises. Why is my nose so itchy? And yeah. But now I'm going to talk spoilers. So 3, 2, 1. If you haven't, I'll put timestamps in the description below. So based on the killer reveals, we got we got three of them this time, which is interesting. You got the Detective Bailey, you got Quinn and Ethan. They're all one family, which I think kind of tied together. Whereas the fifth one with Richie and Amber, in this case, where I feel like it just didn't make as much sense for her to be the killer. Some of the newer Scream movies and their killer motivations, I mean, I don't think any of them make us that much sense in general. But I think really I can accept them for until you get to the fourth one, where you have the Culkin one, Charlie Walker, where that one didn't make much sense at all, where Kirby was too late or something, and then you have in the fifth one, Richie wasn't given much of a motivation, or at least not one that I can remember, and then Amber didn't have anything. She was just Richie's boyfriend, she was just Richie's girlfriend, so she did whatever he wanted. She was completely the lackey in that case. And then you have in this movie where I think it definitely makes sense. Finally, all of these three, they wanted revenge for their brother Richie, and yeah, I thought that worked really well for the most part. And I think the killers themselves, once they get revealed, I think actually work. I've heard some complaints that they were kind of forgettable. I thought the Ethan character was fairly memorable, and in Detective Bailey and Quinn when they snapped and went crazy worked. And then the way they got killed was fairly gnarly with the knife through the mouth. I'm not going to do the thing again. Also, the knife through the nose, the gunshot. I think a lot of those kills worked for the most part, and some of them were fun. And then yeah. So, I enjoy it. And also, I just found this movie to be fairly enjoyable. I was entertained throughout it. Also, one other thing that I didn't mention about the big city, because you have that whole thing where they live in a high-rise, not just another house where they can easily kind of escape it. They have to find unique ways to tie that in. And another spoiler, I'm so happy they did not go the boyfriend route for the killer with Sam's new boyfriend. Can't think of the actor's name. I think his name was like Josh Segarra or something. But I like what they did with him. I like that they did not make him the killer. Now we have the bad, and I think the biggest issue I have with this movie, really, there are so many sequences that just make absolutely no sense. I am going to go into spoilers here, so just keep that in mind. Here, I'll let you know when I legit start talking spoilers. I'll admit there are so many sequences where, they literally, the people, let's say they're grabbing a weapon, they only hit Ghostface once and then run away. Like, one of the scenes, they had a guy with a pan, and they hit him once. In real life, you would keep hitting him. And that was just like, what? Why? And then some of the chases in there kind of went on for very long, and then there's some kind of cringy moments that I definitely full on cringed at. I was like, this is built with a ladder. You see the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so the some of the Ghostface stuff that they're doing are kind of dumb, but it's kind of funny at the same time that I don't really care. But then there's some very unrealistic stuff. I think the worst is that subway scene where someone gets killed and nobody notices until a couple minutes later, which makes absolutely no sense. That would never happen. I mean, I'm not saying this franchise is known for being realistic. I mean, if you look at the first one, someone is killed by a garage, and if you look at some of the other ones, there's many scenes where Ghostface just gets away immediately. This one, I don't think it's the worst of the bunch when it comes to the unrealisticness, but yeah. Hit him more times. So, yeah, as a whole, I just think that frustrated me, and I was just like, come on. Maybe, and there's some scenes where, they just hit Ghostface, the one where they hit him with a pan, it makes, no sense. You wouldn't get up for that. Maybe you'd still be alive, but you wouldn't get up immediately. That's not how it works. So, I don't know. I mean, it's not known for being realistic. I mean, someone gets opened by a garage, and Scream 4, Jill gets electrocuted in the brain and gets up, 2 seconds later. So, and then, so overall, I think I'm nitpicking there. And then one other issue, I think this one's also a big issue. How does everybody survive in the end? 3 of the core 4 literally get stabbed in the gutted. One of them gets stabbed a bunch of times. Mindy, maybe you can make that excuse for it because she was stabbed in the stomach and then held by helped a bit. So I guess that made enough sense. But then what's it called? Chad, he kept getting stabbed. He got stabbed 5 times or whatever, so that one doesn't make any sense, and I think one of them looked like it went to the heart. And then final one, Gale Weathers, That one, I guess, makes a little bit more sense because the killer didn't fully get her. But I think they should have just killed her off and given her some sort of a mildly emotional death, kind of similar to Dewey's. But then she kept persisting until then, so I think that could work. But they didn't do that, so it just makes it kind of worthless in the end. So it kind of frustrated me because if you really think about it, this movie kind of has the least amount of kills in the end. Like it has that one. There's the two at the beginning, or three if you include Glenn or Greg or whatever the guy's name is. Oh, and then there's the therapist. There's what's it called? I can't think. I think there's Annika. There is, I think that's it with all like the regular not high school college characters. I don't know. I thought that element of it was kind of weird as a whole. So they shouldn't have kept every character alive. Maybe kept Mindy alive, but Chad should have been dead. Gail should have been dead, and Tara and Sam should live on their own at this point. Maybe with Mindy, but. In the end, I actually did really enjoy this one. I had a fun time. Maybe it'll warm up to me. I want to see it again. I definitely want to see it again. Maybe not in the theaters, but when it comes out in home video, I definitely want to see it again. So for this movie's final score, I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I did actually really enjoy this one, though it has some very apparent flaws. I think the killer reveals worked for the most part. I thought the final sequence it's a bit over the top, but it was fun, but they're always over the top. And overall, I had a good time with this one. I don't know where it ranks. I think like Scream 5, 3, 2, and 4 are all kind of tied in the middle, so it's really I kind of know it's my number 1 and number 5 and number 6, so but I kind of have to figure out the middle bunch. But once I do, we're gonna get a ranking out, which probably won't come for a week or so because I'm busy, but yeah. So tell me what you thought about this movie, Cons Blood. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Sorry for spoiling it in the bad, but you know. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. See you guys next time. Adios.